Hello, I'm tatocat. Welcome to my channel. Today we are playing Lucid9. Last time we played, we stole as much as we could, but we still had to hit the girl a bunch. And we kind of found out that Ryota is basically just an assassin for hire, really. But then he yelled at us some more, and then we had to hit people some more, and now we are here. Alright, let's continue. This time, though, she responds, quietly moving nothing but her mouth. I know. And I swing the pipe. Oh. The blow rebounds against my arms as the bone of her leg fractures beneath the hard metal. The resulting scream is just another repeat, another skip on a broken record player. I falter backwards, the pipe rubbing my hands raw. Reminds me that every bent limb, every cry of pain is all my own doing. No one held my arm, no one swung the pipe. Every blow was my choice. No one bears that blame but me. And I don't know if I can continue to hold on. There's no sign of sirens in the distance, no janitor making his rounds, not even a student in sight. Except for the ones that we're murdering, apparently. Just 4 teenagers and a serial killer with a knife. That in one pipe. One solid pipe in my hands. I could say that I don't know what to do. I could say that I'm helpless. But it would be far more accurate to say that I know exactly what to do. And I'm just too scared to do it. What? No begging this time? Why am I almost disappointed? He strikes the boy again. A brutal blow that crushes his fingers. The boy retches and screeches, choking on his own vomit. The wet, crumpled cough that results is far more painful to hear than any scream. It's the sound of a human who is slowly dying. Stop! Stop it, please! Somehow! I step to the side of the girl, gripping the pipe so tightly that its rough patches begin to dig into my palms. I've gathered enough time. I've tried my best. The police aren't coming. In a situation where there should have been a way out, any way out, there is none. The only relief I can bring is by murdering as many of these students as I can. Murder. I've heard so many times that taking a life changes you, that once you get blood on your hands, you stop being a human. Will it happen in this case? Killing this girl? Turning me into a monster? I don't know. I just know that there are 3 innocent students here, and if I don't do something, they'll be stuck in this never-ending cycle of agony. It would have been better if they just died earlier. It would have been better if I just killed them earlier. I don't want this, but is there any other choice? I just want everyone to be okay. Oh, I unlocked an achievement for that. So stalling isn't an option now. It's just kill the girl or attack Ryota. Huh. I've been listening to this character the whole time, and I've been right, but I really don't want to kill the girl. This is probably wrong, because I'm going against the character if I do this, but let's attack Ryota. No, Ryota's the one at fault, and he'll be the one to pay. I pull a pipe over my shoulder with great deliberation, as if preparing myself to strike the girl again. A moment passes, then I fling the pipe around me, straight over the girl's head and right towards Ryota. Surprisingly, he's caught off guard and barely raises his pipe in time. The force of the blow crashes right against his weapon, driving into his shoulder. He grunts with pain, but I feel no bones give way. Nothing that could give me an advantage. Fear spikes through me, but I refuse to freeze. I continue my assault, swinging my pipe, with relentless desperation. High, low, middle, anything. But with the shock of the initial assault worn off, Ryota is an iron wall. He seems to know where my blows will strike before I swing them. No, I have to hit him. I have to, or he'll take his revenge. I lunge forward, pulling all my strength into the next swing. Ryota doesn't sidestep. He doesn't duck. He only broadens his stance and holds his pipe on both ends, driving it upward to meet my blow. The impact shatters up my arms until my shoulders feel numb. I yell in pain, dropping the pipe on instinct. That's a done move. Oh, no, so this is not going well. He immediately seizes the moment to bring his own pipe crashing down right on my leg. Oh. Pain. Nothing but pain. White as a sheet in my mind, washing everything out. Ryota's voice speaks quietly through the agony, low and mocking. Now, child, that's not how you treat your elders. Don't you know that the poor decisions come with consequences? He whips in Rui's direction, pipe braced in his hands, when suddenly from outside the window, light blasts into the classroom, followed by the shrill overtone of a megaphone. Ryota, stand down. You are surrounded. Release the students or we will shoot you. Am I hearing things? Have I gone insane? Is the pain in my leg clouding my mind? My eyes instinctively search out Rui's. Her expression is immense horror mixed with sorrow, mixed with relief. It's real then. Shigure came. But even though she came, I glance at Ryota. He's frozen in shock, his hands automatically patting down his pocket, searching for his phone. The phone that I'd smashed to pieces with a metal pipe. It just solidifies my suspicions. He would have been notified if hadn't I managed to break that phone. What can we do? I'm paralyzed in Rui. Ryota is hovering above Rui, knife clutched tight in his hand. Suddenly, he recovered from his momentary shock, his face collapsing back with a tight smile. Well, looks like the party's over. I draw, shuddering a breath. Give it up, Ryota. You're surrounded. You're not getting out of this. Oh, I know that. Then put down your knife. Okay, can't you already tell? I feel dread instantly. It starts creeping in me like my bones are being frosted over. Tell what? I care nothing about punishment. I do not fear death. All that remains is the beauty of suffering. Ryota, this is not a warning. We will repeat. The fools, surely they know better than to bluff with a staff member at this damned academy. Bluff? Simply put, if they wish to hit me, they must mow down the entire classroom. The windows are tinted for outsiders. They are blind as bats. No. How can that be true? I saw Rui when I was outside the academy. I could see her through the window. And the police, they have to have infrared goggles, some kind of special vision that can help them aim. You must be lying. The Emperor in his new clothes. All the fools of the world believed they could see that which did not exist. Only one lonely soul, a mere child, showed them the true path. He releases another bout of intense laughter. I unconsciously drag myself backwards, ignoring the pounding ache in my leg. Is this just another step in his delusions? He seems to be spiraling down to an even deeper and darker hole. Come here, my lovelies. You are the last of my entertainment. I will reap from this world. He wants suffering. He wants me to suffer. The primary target of his choice is obvious. He turns to Ruri, a flicker of madness in his eye, as if the appearance of the police was the last switch to his sanity. Ryota, we will fire in 5. Ryota pounces with uncanny agility over the desk, flinging his pipe Rui's direction as he draws his knife with his other hand. Rui throws herself to the side, but she crashes into another desk, sending wood splintering into her arms. 1. Fire now. Now. I hear a rattle of gunfire, but the spray of bullets washes across the window, embedded like knives in wooden table. Spiderweb cracks over the windows, but not one penetrates. Bulletproof. That's what Ryota meant. Bulletproof? How was I not in the files? Someone tell me how this wasn't in the files. Snipers. The perpetrator is moving too quickly. RPGs now. Inamoto, there's a chance that we'll kill the students. They're already dying. Fire those weapons now. Ryota ignores outside commotion and tackles Rui against the wall. I hear the dull thump of her head slamming into the plaster. Enough of this squirming. Ryota tightens over his knife. He raises his hand. In one fluid motion, without hesitation, he pins one arm over her head, then drives the knife forward straight towards her wrist and... Rui. I throw myself forward, but my legs scream in protest. Helpless again. Oh yes, what a lovely color. He drags a finger along Rui's forearm, smearing blood against his palm, and licks at it with a look of utter bliss. Ew. My vision shuffles in front of my eyes as the ache in my leg spreads to my head. You, dear child, shall be made pièce de résistance. With his heel grinding into my other hand, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out something what expands like a butterfly's wing. A cold gray switchblade. No, Ryota, don't. He only smiles wider in response, leaning closer until switchblades hover right below her cheekbones. Your face, dear Rui, is so very lovely. It shall serve as an excellent base. No. No, please. Now I'm bad end. So I have to kill the girl, do I? In order to get a good end? Alright, so I'm a bad end. So we'll do it again. Okay, let's pretend like I didn't choose that. Okay, kill the girl, attack her. Yep, because that happened. We're going to, I guess we'll kill the girl. What? Oh goodness. I'm going to be a murderer and then I'm going to get arrested, aren't I? But I falter. I stand stiffly, the pipe frozen in my hands. Should I just hit her without a killing blow and let the game continue? Does it mean blow and it's just a typo? Oh well. I can't kill her just to take the easy way out, but I don't think I can keep sustaining my sanity. It would be easy. Everything would be over. No, because apparently well, I guess if we die, it is over. You don't need to bear this burden. This is what my mind is whispering to me, but I don't know whether to trust it or not. If I could see the ending, I would know. We saw the ending when we chose the other one. If we somehow end up getting out of this, then wouldn't she be glad to be alive? Even with those injuries, because at least she has a second chance at life? This pain, this suffering, it'll hurt and it'll scar, but maybe she could find her dream career or marry a wonderful husband. Maybe she's into girls, Yama. Something that just makes living worthwhile. But if we won't get out of this, if the only thing that's in store for us is agonizing death, against which we're fighting in futility, would have been better if I just killed her in the very first stroke. How can I make that judgment? How can I possibly predict that burden? Can I really choose to end someone's life with my own hands? I can't see the ending. I don't understand fate. I wish I could know the answer, but there's nothing for me. No one can see the future. With the magic power of saving in visual novels, you can see alternate timelines. If you dawdle any longer, kid, Rui gets the short end of the stick. Or the pipe. However you prefer to say it. No more time. No more chances. I've held out for as long as I could. I raise the pipe over my head, aiming it directly in line with the girl's skull. She smiles tremendously in understanding and closes her eyes. Acceptance, perhaps even gratitude. Because somehow we've landed in a situation where quick death is merciful. What if? What if I had been faster? What if I had been smarter? If I had caught Ryota before today, none of this would have happened. Why did I sit still in one place and allow this to happen? My arms shake as I will them to descend. I can't hesitate. I need to strike decisively. If I don't, the result will only be unconsciousness and a splitting headache and no clean death. This girl doesn't deserve to wake up again in this nightmare. No one does. And with that, I guess it's time to become a murderer. I raise the pipe even higher, counting softly in my head. 3. I'm sorry I wasn't enough. 2. I'm sorry you had to face this. 1. Then from outside the windows, light blasts into the classroom, followed by the shrill overtones of a megaphone. Jiro Ryota, stand down. You are surrounded. Release the students, or we will shoot you. Ah, I see. So we don't attack him and he doesn't break our leg, which certainly will come in handy for not dying. Understood, game. Well played. I would have never chosen kill the girl as an option. Am I hearing things? Is my mind so desperate for reprieve that it's throwing up whatever can to stop my pipe? My eyes instinctively search out Rui's. Her expression is a mess, horror mixed with sour mixed with relief. It's real then. Shigure came. Yay, Shigure! No, wait. It's not over. We're still in this room with Ryota. 2 students are still in a very dangerous position, where they might lose their lives. I glance at Ryota. He's frozen in shock, his hands automatically patting down his pockets, searching for his phone. That's why I smashed it. The phone that I smashed to pieces with a metal pipe. It just solidifies my suspicions that he would have been notified if I hadn't managed to break that phone. While Ryota's still in shock, we have to run now. He'll chase us. He won't be able to stop himself from chasing us. I lock eyes with Rui, then jerk my head to the door. Thankfully, Ryota still transfixed on the scene outside, mouth agape in disbelief. Rui quietly slides from her desk and slides along the wall, painfully inch by inch. She comes closer. Hey. I immediately seize her hand and we tear off, running as fast as we can on shaky legs. We don't spare any words, we only shoot up the stairs, breaking onto the rooftop. A smart thing for Ryota to do would be staying right where he is, using 2 remaining students as hostages to secure his escape. But he won't do that. He'll chase after us, furious, bowling anything out of his way to reach us in time. So at this moment, the best thing we can do is run. The air is bitingly cold. I blast at our faces as I lead Rui to the edge without a break in stride. See the line that goes through this row of pots? Jump over the edge there. What? Jump. To her credit, she does, leaping over the low railing on the roof and plummeting to the ground below. Except, it's not the ground, but the school pool. The pool over which Yahiko, Masada, and I had stood last year, with the umbrellas in hand, testing if we could somehow fly with them. I had hated Yahiko for weeks after that moment. I never thought I would be grateful to have joined him. Rui lands safely with a splash and scrambles to the side as fast as she can. I force myself to wait a few agonizing moments for her to swim out of the way, then vault over the edge and... Oh no, you don't. An overpowering hand snatches my collar and yanks me back, crushing my windpipe against my jacket. I'm slammed against the ground of the rooftop flat on my back. Ryota stands over me, knife loosely handled between his fingers, toying with the edge of my collar with the tip of his blade. His entire face is saturated with a terrifying mix of fury and ecstasy, something that sends chills down my spine. Cute. Really, boy? That was quite cute. He lifts me up and presses me against the railing, steadying the flat of his blade against my cheek. No. No, it can't end this way. What a good-hearted soul ensuring the escape of Rui before you jumped. Someone like you needs a reward. He abruptly turns the knife until the edge rests lightly on my cheekbone. I flinch instinctively, which only broadens his grin. If you want to beg, boy, now would be the time to do it. Like a rat sprinting through a maze, searching for its only chance at exiting, my mind races for solutions, something, anything. No. No. Nothing. Wait. Do you not wish to play a bigger role in society than an inconsequential pawn in this game of life? Or will you restrict yourself to the confines of your own abilities just because of her? My one last chance is this, being vaguely specific. I look Ryota square in the eyes, willing my voice to be steady with every last bit of my strength. She was disappointed in you, wasn't she? The result is immediate. Ryota's grin drops, and the grip of his life loosens, just slightly. His eyes turn completely blank, unseeing. I know for certain that in his mind he's recalling a dark moment, a terrifying memory, something locked away that he never let himself know, let alone a stranger. Remembering tears of regret, a whispered phrase, words that have haunted nightmares every day since they were uttered. I don't allow myself to dwell on the thought before I get a grasp on what I'm doing. I'm already seizing the handle of Ryota's knife and turning the blade, shoving it with more force than I'd ever exerted in my life, driving the tip through his abdomen. His body jerks like a rag doll, but not a word passes his lips. The only sound I hear is a squelch of tissue and organs against metal. For a moment, there's a silence, broken only by the distant flare of police sirens. His grip loosens, and his weight falls on my shoulder, driving my arm painfully against the railing. A ragged whisper drifts to my ears. Such is our lot, Yama Ishimoto. We are a disappointment. Then with sudden strength, he grips my shoulder and tumbles over the railing, pulling me with him. My stomach lurches at the terrifying grasp of gravity as we plummet to the school pool below, falling from the school roof, seized by a serial killer. This is what my existence has been. One struggle for life after another, a constant misstep, and wandering in the wrong direction. Now left with two innocent teenagers, broken and bleeding, their minds irreparable, even if their bodies are not. A man once intelligent, once admirable, now driven mad, a knife fixed in his stomach. A clean and polished school ruined forever by a legacy of violence. And who knows how many lives shattered. The air tears at my face, and the clothes, screaming past my ears. Ryo's blood flies from his wounds, coating the front of my jacket. That's right. I stabbed someone. We crashed into the pool with stinging force. Tendrils of blood disperse into the chlorinated water like spider silk. Ryota's iron grip on my shoulders loosens at the impact. Bubbles gurgle from his lips, brushing past my face as they pop to the surface. I'm no longer holding the knife, but I still feel the form and weight of its handle between my fingers. This is what I've done. For a moment, I let myself drift into the freezing water. There's no point in swimming up to the surface, really. Wouldn't it just be easier to just drift away? Come back up to the world, and I'll face a long hospital trip, a court case, catching up on essays about second wave world civilizations and worksheets on deriving trigonometric theorems. Take exams, go to some university, major in something or another, get a white-collar job, marry, have kids, die. All this after trashing another human being's system to a pulp. Someone who might not recover physically and who will never recover emotionally. Is there even a point? Existential nihilism. The belief that there's no meaning, no value, nothing to life. I vaguely remember being terrified of the notion when I'd first heard about it in class. Most students just laughed it off. How stupid, how depressing. Life has no purpose. Whoever made that up has issues. But it was too close to me, living a life of homework, keeping my head down and going through each day wondering where I was and what I was doing. Maybe I've been trying too hard to find meaning where there is none. Maybe I've been desperately grasping for straws to find some kind of significance at an inconsequential existence. From a strictly technical point of view, this is not a time to be thinking philosophical thoughts. Being at the bottom of a pool, just an arm's reach away from a serial killer, probably with only 30 seconds left before I run out of breath and start drowning. Any sensible person would leave the Socrates session for another day and wait until all basic needs are met first. Guess I'm not as sensible as I thought. Either that, or I can't bring myself to be. You can lead a student to air, but you can't make him breathe. That's how the saying should go. Maybe I should just sleep. I suddenly feel so tired. Did we die anyways? I think I've been here before. That's right. This is a familiar road. By the way, this is pretty. It's kind of depressing. But that could just be the music. It's good music though. There's a sign at an intersection. I think it's rickety and rusted, worn from use. There's no words on it, just two arrows, one pointing forward, one pointing backward. I'd just like to stay here. A fork in the road is such a dangerous thing. Left, right, a one-time decision. And if it turns out that you run into an obstacle, then you'll find yourself wishing that you made the other choice. Then, don't you start overthinking everything? What if I'd taken the other road? You die. What if the other road was worse? It was. What if there was another road? If only I looked harder. There's only two options. What if I hadn't taken the road at all? That's just quitting the game. What if I had gone backwards? The game doesn't let you do that. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. A poem by Robert Frost, originally intended to be a simple teasing joke, a hint of a playful satire at indecision. But people saw it as something else. Even though they weren't poets, they started adding their own kinds of verses to the composition. Independence, individualism, science, discovery, curiosity, free will, and the human condition. Poor Robert Frost, suddenly he had written an entirely different poem, even without touching his pen. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took. Heavily medicated, doctor. Anytime he's coherent, he thrashes around. You have to sedate him every time. How long? 2 weeks. The record? Here, sir. I assume when he screams for her, he's referring to the other patient. We think so, sir, but she's still recovering with therapy. We haven't been able to get her in here. What's her progress? She started speaking again after her parents came with a photo album. We're also hoping that the daily fresh air will help her walk. And how about her arm? Psychosomatic, like her legs. We'll be monitoring it over therapy. Good, she'll likely be our fastest ticket in his recovery. But it might be a while before Miss Hayata is able to. Really? Ah, Mr. Ishimoto, are you awake? Can you see me? Really? Mr. Ishimoto, can you tell me? Where's Rui? Where did you take her? She's supposed to be here. Safe. Hold him down. Show me Rui. My own 2 eyes. Diazepam. Give her back. Give her... Couldn't she have just said, Mr. Ishimoto, don't worry. Rui's just here in the hospital. She's recovering. Why not do that? Instead of, continuously, slowly trying to talk to him. Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Chop, chop, chip, chop. The last man's dead. Sometimes I really wonder about children's nursery rhymes. Why do we let young kids listen to such twisted ideologies? Children aren't supposed to deal with that kind of stuff. They're supposed to be innocent. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and... My world suddenly feels warm. What is that? Why is it happening? I suddenly get the impression that I'm awake. I think someone's holding my hand. The tips of my fingers feel warm, like they're being cradled in a loving palm. Everything else is blinding light that drills into the back of my eyes. Home. Home is here. Home. Finally got to visit you. I'm sorry for the wait. I had to go through therapy to start talking again. I know the whole thing is over thanks to you, but whenever I close my eyes, well, I guess I'm really thankful that the doctors could help me. I just hope that it'll be the same for you. Well, I'll let you rest up. You'll need a lot of it. Oh, and this old thing. Doctors say I'll be out of it in a week. It's apparently all in my head. Honestly though, a wheelchair is not all that bad. I kind of feel like royalty. You know how they have those, what are they called? Sedans. And they got carried around all the time? I guess this feels like that. Oh, and Yama. I love laughing at your grades. So hurry up and get well, dummy. I dream a little longer. My dreams are softer now. A little more delicate. Like lace instead of sandpaper. Oh. I see a young kid grasping the hand of his older sister. In another world, that kid grows up to be more confident, more assured. He learns how to deal with bullies so that he won't bother his sister. He learns how to study hard and make friends and play soccer like all the other boys his age. He doesn't withdraw, lost in his room. He doesn't keep to himself on the playground. He's a happy young boy who turns into a happy teenager. He goes to the prestigious middle school in the area, the academy, to follow in his sister's footsteps. Because his family never left the city. His family never fled to a suburban little town 3 hours away from Isamu. His family stayed because in this other world, there was never an event that had to do with a bus, a blizzard, a loose tread, a frozen river. So the young boy also stayed. Maybe he meets a lively orange-haired girl at this middle school. Maybe he befriends her because she's lovable and bright and impossible to dislike. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he falls in a different crowd. A sea of faces that play soccer and grab ramen on snowy days and study in the library when it's raining. Either way, he flourishes, loves his life, maybe dates once or twice. He studies hard for the college entrance exams and he passes with flying colors in this other world. He makes it into a university of his dreams. He studies something that he loves, graduates, finds a girl, gets married. Maybe she has orange hair, maybe she doesn't. He finds a good job, has kids, smiles like an idiot when his daughter wraps her fingers around his pinky. He'll name her after his sister, the one who's alive and well, who's married a decent guy and had kids of her own. Then that boy, who turned into a teenager, who turned into a man, will wake up one day and he'll be happy, he'll be whole, and he'll be wondering if this was all there was to life. My eyes feel open sluggishly, like they haven't done so for a decade. My muscles feel weak and lifeless, spindled slugs on the sidewalk. My throat's dry and my head is smarting. So, looks like I'm in the hospital. I notice that the nurse is at my bedside, fiddling with the IV drip on the table. She seems tired, drawn eyes, tight frown. I clear my throat to get her attention. Excuse me. The words eject in a queasy croak. The nurse jumps at the raw noise, but relaxes when she notices me. Oh, wonderful, you're awake. Her voice is chipper, but I notice how she eyes me with caution, like I'll lunge out of bed and strangle her if she makes any sudden move. Do you remember your name? Yama Ishimoto. Good. Do you remember how you got here? By ambulance, I'd assume. I wheeze in dry laughter. Everything seems funny. The nurse eyes me for a minute, then presses the intercom. Doctor, the patient's awake. Can you speak with him? They give me a basic physical exam, followed by a psychological inventory. I give all the answers I think are correct and expect an imminent release. I'm ready to get back to my life. Instead, they take me to a room with a plush couch, a contemporary lamp, where a man sits on the armchair and tries to get me to talk about my life. Therapy. I've been through it too many times. It's gotten quite old over the years. I'm so familiar with the proceedings that I resign myself to playing mind games with therapists. I did that too. Can I predict before he asks? Can I redirect his questions? But it's not such a smooth and humorous process. Therapy makes me recall everything. Breaking limbs with a pipe, with my own two hands, driving myself insane, stabbing someone in the gut. During the first session, I black out. They tell me later that I crumpled into a ball and refused to respond to anything until Rui came. Rui, now out of her wheelchair. You've been in the hospital for 2 months, she said. Rui holds my hand. In the next session, I squeeze it until I'm afraid that I'll snap her fingers, just like I snapped those bones. She whispers, "You're innocent. Don't you worry. It was all Ryo's fault. You're a victim." I still feel blood on my hands whenever the sessions are over. I go to the bathroom and wash my hands once, twice, 5 times over. It still runs slick and steady over my wrists and onto my forearms when I exit the bathroom. I stop speaking for a few days. There's nothing to talk about. I have too many sounds to remember, too much cacophony thrumming in the space between my ears. Rui sits by me, feeds me when I have no strength to lift a spoon, pulls the covers up to my chin like my mom should have done. Speaking of which, where are our parents? I mean, this seems like something that the police would have informed our parents about, the fact that we were basically kidnapped by a serial killer and forced to beat other people, and now we're in the hospital for 2 months. Seems like her parents should be here. She tells me stories: a princess in the night, a detective and a bar singer, a celebrity and an unfortunate grocer. Some days I just sit and hold her hand, watching her eyes dance as she paints imaginary canvases in her words. Speaking so much tires her out quickly. Sometimes she nods off in the middle of a sentence, so I lean her head on my shoulder and listen to the even rhythm of her breath. It's softer than the discord in my brain. Sometimes it lulls me to sleep too. Then comes a session where I remember everything, every last bit, and I lose consciousness again. They say that they found me standing on the hospital rooftop, leaning against the banister with my arms spread wide as if I was welcoming the city into a warm embrace. They instantly brushed me down, terrified that I had tried to kill myself. "Calm down," I said. My smile was distant. I was just enjoying the view. They didn't believe me, so I'm confined to my room for a while. No one is allowed to see me except Rui, not even my own parents. They say it's because I didn't react well to their presence when I was delirious. So, like the beast with his beauty, I'm holed up in the hospital room, counting the days until I can pass the psychology inventory. Rui brings gifts from the others, envelopes and gift-wrapped boxes and overly large bags that could have only been funded by Yahiko's purse. They're nice, and the thought is touching, but I tell Rui to return them all. I plan on staying here, keeping the blood on my hands in one room. Rui cries every time, a heartbreaking, frustrated kind of crying, as she punches me in the shoulder and yells that it's not my fault. It's Ryota's. Why can't I get it through my head? But even if my brain agrees, my hands remember the scratchiness of the pipe, the vibration of each terrible impact, the oozing, seeking feeling of a knife sinking into the flesh. So I only can kiss her on the forehead and thank her for staying with me. She doesn't blush. She doesn't even look remotely embarrassed. In fact, I think that the gesture only makes her angrier. "We're gonna make you well, Yama." She screams this out the window like some kind of oath. "You're gonna be just fine." I attend more sessions, stay isolated from family and friends. My parents pay for the sessions, but I see nothing more of them. Legally, they're allowed to see me, but they don't insist. They probably don't really want to see me anyways. They haven't for years. More days slip by. I wonder if our friends have moved on with their lives, gone back to school, prepared for the university exams, started dating. When I start speaking again, I ask her how long we've been at the hospital. 2 months and 2 weeks, she says. Is that it? It feels so much longer. I continue sessions, go for walks, eat hospital food. I think I start to heal because the world feels a little less empty with each passing day. It's not my fault. I decide to say this to the mirror every morning, even if I don't believe it. Maybe if I say it enough, maybe if I raise my chin and put my hands on my hips, maybe if I act like I believe it, then I'll believe it. Fake it till you make it, I guess. It's not my fault, it's not my fault, it's not my fault. I stare into the reflection, meaningless words pouring from my lips. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most broken of them all? It seems to whisper back. Broken, you may be, young man, but I see one broken more still. Someone with nothing but blood in his eyes and no person to love. Someone who fell into darkness until one day, to ease his pain, he had suddenly become a serial killer. Mirror, mirror, couldn't I have been that man myself? In another world, a boy damaged by an accident, growing up alone and reserved with nothing but the shadow as his constant companion. That boy could grow into a twisted teenager who could grow into a twisted man. But I think I understand. None of that happened. What more do I need to worry about? Maybe I disfigured an innocent student. Maybe I stabbed a human being. Maybe I took part in a nightmare that never should have been dreamt. But in this world, in these circumstances, I'm not a twisted, lonely little boy. I grew up showered with love, surrounded by friends, given an ordinary school life. The me standing here and now wouldn't voluntarily lift a pipe or a knife to hurt someone without purpose, because I'm not anyone else. Eventually, I stopped talking to my reflection. I stopped washing my hands every half hour. I feel at peace. I think, at the very least, I stopped blacking out. Rui said that it's been 3 months since our hospitalization. Isan was now deep in the hole of summer with a blazing July sun and humid forest wind. School's probably back in session. It doesn't stop us from receiving gifts, cards, letters, candy. Rui gets swamped by them, of course. Surprisingly, even I receive a few. This time, I return them for a different reason. Not because I plan on cutting off outer contact, but because I plan on seeing them in person. The both of us go through more psychology tests. This time, they seem happier with our responses because they finally open the doors. I don't expect visitors, to be honest. Although I'm no longer bedridden after taking walks around the hospital wing, I expect that the others have gone on with their lives. 3 months is a long time in a hurried pace of a student. But to my surprise, the moment the hospital lifts my quarantine, 2 figures race into the room in a blur. Oh, Yahiko! Minion! Oh, and Masato's. I like how Masato was safe because he had such a tight schedule and it went to bed too early to get caught by Ryota. It's fantastic. It's Yahiko and Masato dressed in their school uniforms. They're practically bursting with energy. For some reason, seeing them brings tears to my eyes. Embarrassed, I turn away. Dude, these past months have felt like forever. I can't believe that this happened. I can still remember you didn't come to school the other day and no one knew where you were and Rui wasn't talking about you. Then suddenly, no one could find Rui and no one could find you, and a hint of his mask comes crumbling down. For the first time I see Yahiko's face twist in true pain. I was thinking that you'd guys be gone, just like Haru, Shoji, Akane. He grits his teeth, shuddering. All I can do is awkwardly pat him on the shoulder. I've always known that each of Mr. Ryota's victims were connected to Yahiko, but for some reason I never actually considered what that did to Yahiko. It's amazing, really. How could Yahiko even stay standing? How could he still smile, still laugh, even as people he knew were dying? I always thought of him as kind of weak, and more than kind of stupid, but it looks like he's actually stronger than any of us. He was even right there at the scene of Shoji's death, saw him die with his own eyes. At the time, the scene looked suspicious, but now I think about it, wasn't Yahiko just trying to prevent a suicide? Wasn't that why I had found Shoji in the river? I almost want to ask about it, but something tells me that Yahiko's had enough. Well, I'm okay. Apparently. Yahiko stills his mouth, turning up into a forced smile. Yeah, I guess so. But still, I didn't do anything. What could you do? You didn't even know where we were. Yahiko's eyes shift to the side, and he clears his throat. Masato's eyebrows tighten slightly, but says nothing. Actually, Shigure called us. What? Well, I mean, technically I guess it was after the fact, but still. We needed to know why you were hospitalized, so we just kind of piled on a bunch of questions. She explained everything, the cases, your investigation. She said we deserve to know. Shigure told them? Why would Shigure tell them? It simply doesn't make sense. At the very least, she would be wasting her time. Beyond that, she'd be spilling confidential info with no clear purpose. So, well, we told Akira and Misaki, since Akira is the best friend of Rui and Misaki knows you both. And Elizabeth ended up overhearing, apparently. Shiguri told Airi. We visited you a few times, but you were either knocked out or you started thrashing around. And then they kicked us out entirely. So, that's why they stayed so worried. That's why they were so persistent with the gifts. I guess it's not every day that one of your friends tries to fight a serial killer. No, it'd be concerning if it was. You know, oh, where's Yama? Oh, you know, he just got kidnapped by a serial again. Ah, must be Friday. Like, that's a bad sort of situation to be in. A smile of gratitude tugs at my lips, and I feel a little warmer inside. They really cared a lot for us, didn't they? Thanks, Yahiko. Yahiko only nods mutely. I glance at Masato only to find that he's still stewing. Come to think of it, he hasn't said a word. Masato. Damn it. Yahiko and I jump at Masato's sudden exclamation. Great, this again. I'm a shackin' full dumber. The fullest dummery dumber. What? Okay, I think I understand this. He said a curse word, right? And then he's saying he's dumb. Now he's saying he's the dumbest dummy, right? He quiets slightly, speaking through gritted teeth. I was stupid blind. I didn't see nothing but myself. I'm real sorry, man. Wait, where is this coming from? Honestly, I'm just surprised to see him here. I wasn't fair to you, man. Was throwing a tantrum like Lil Hibiki. Saying all those words, not listening to you. It was something only a shackin' full dumber would do. Should have asked what's going on instead of assuming everything. Oh, his apology catches me off guard. Well, thanks, but he was right. Just after he told me to be nice to Rui, I treated her like trash. Maybe he could sense it coming. Maybe he saw that something was wrong with me. Wait. Now that I'm paying more attention, I notice that Masato's hair is damp. Not only that, there's a faint smell of chlorine. Masato, were you just swimming? Huh? Well, yeah, I guess. Technically it's summer, and technically it's pretty normal to be swimming, but something churns slowly in my brain. Disused, but still keen. Well, you know, all you talk about is track. Yama's probably tired of hearing it by now. But I don't just run, I can swim too, and do basketball. Masato can swim. In fact, he can swim well. Masato's incredibly athletic. And the last person who I'd spoken to before I'd seen Shoji drowning in that river, before I'd almost drowned, had been Masato. He could have easily hauled Shoji and me to shore, even if we were both hopeless at swimming. Odd. It was 3 months ago, but each memory feels as vivid as yesterday. Vibrant, full of life. Guess I should seize the moment. Did you save us? Save who now? Me and Shoji from drowning 3 months ago. Oh. That's definitely a yes. It's not like you'd forget saving 2 people from drowning, even if it was 3 months ago. Wait, you guys almost drowned? Well, we didn't, thanks to Masato. Yahiko's face twists for a moment, and for one terrible second, I think he's about to cry. And then... Did you see a mermaid? Oh, Yahiko. Now, my good minion, this is a very important question. You must answer. There was a mermaid, wasn't there? Beautiful with long hair and a voice that sounds like a really nice voice? To answer or not to answer? Why not? Well, she sung just like you. Really? She must have been amazing. It was definitely worthy of awe. I knew it. The hell are you saying, Yama? There wasn't no mermaid. What? This overdramatic gasp is punctuated with a very long silence. And then Masato snorts. I chuckle. Yahiko giggles. And pretty soon, the three of us are collapsed on the ground, rolling with uncontrollable laughter. My sides ache and my chest heaves, and every possible muscle on every possible limb is protesting with a sore ache. But it feels good, like the stress is just melting out of my body. Finally, we pick ourselves up, brushing at our eyes. Good to see you're still with us, man. Might want to take a rest, cause there's a lot of people waiting to talk with you. You're almost as famous as I am. Wait, what? Later, man. Rest up good, minion. I'm putting you to work the moment you recover. Wait, what do you mean that I'm... But they've already skipped out of the room, leaving me completely bewildered. I wait for another visitor, but my door doesn't open again. Maybe people are coming later. It would be nice. After talking with Masato and Yahiko, everything feels normal. Kind of like the world after being knocked off course has found its bearings again. On your feet, soldier. Yuck. Yay! All of them, except for her. I still don't like her that much. These two are good, but not you. You're mean. I start all my beauty sleep to find Akira, Irie, and Elizabeth are seated in the chairs next to my bed. For a moment, my groggy mind scrambles to piece together reality. Right, hospital. They must be visiting me. Oh hey, it actually worked. But he seems to be a bit disoriented. Well, we simply can't have that, can we? Take him, Irie. Or don't. Elizabeth clears her throat and arches an eyebrow in my direction. So, Yama Ishimoto. So, Elizabeth Oshiro. She suddenly lurches to her feet, glaring darkly at me. I want to know what the bloody hell you were thinking when you decided to do something so barmy. Going to face a known serial killer alone, unarmed? What were you planning to do, sneeze on him? Her chitting catches me off guard, but it doesn't grate on my nerves. It actually seems caring, in the weirdest way. It is unavoidable. Yama is the protagonist. You know things. Irie is self-aware. Precisely. It's exactly something that, say, the main character of a novel would do. Well, this isn't a bloody novel. Correct. It's a visual novel. You know what? I'm not even going to ask. Yeah, that one's beyond even me. I relax against my pillows. Hi, Irie. Their energetic presence lights up the room. I hadn't realized how much I missed just being an ordinary kid. Ordinary? Have you not seen your friends? You're not ordinary, kid. An ordinary kid hanging out with his friends and getting ready for university until now. Right. Ordinary life. Friends. I can just talk about normal stuff. Stupid stuff. I clear my throat, awkwardly struggling for words. So, how's school been? Wait, you're asking about school? Who are you and what have you done with Yama Ishimoto? Well, it's a welcome break from thinking about serial killers. You speak the truth. She turns to Elizabeth as if deferring to authority. Elizabeth smiles appreciatively. Well, the Academy's been fighting it off as long as possible, but they were finally forced to shut down, just today actually. The public scandal was too much for them to bribe off, apparently. The police are currently conducting an investigation to see how deep this murder scheme goes, and why it seems to center around Hiko Ikari. Before I can stop, my brain automatically kicks back into investigation mode. Have they found anything yet? Unfortunately, no. It's unusual, actually, how clean and tidy these killings are. There's no ties to any faculty, no apparent motive, no links to any accomplices, and Mr. Ryota had gone off his trolley from the moment he'd been apprehended. So he didn't die? I thought we stabbed him to death. So he's alive still. That's fantastic, we're dead. Nothing he says make any sense. I briefly recall a discussion about Aztec gods and blood rituals. It seems so far away. Yeah, I'm not very surprised. But why could he mask his insanity so well while he was a dorm manager? It was practically a personality. Hey Elizabeth, Yama's supposed to be resting from that? It's fine, Akira. This is important stuff. Nope, you need to rest. Rui's orders. I can rest as much as I want later. Isn't the academy closed? Actually, there's an interesting story behind that too. Akira expels an exaggerated sigh, but I'm already honed in on Elizabeth's words. What do you mean? Don't you find it odd there are no reporters hovering around? That you haven't received a single request for an interview? Maybe I'm not cute enough. Oh, for the love of... They haven't been around Rui's room either. When she puts it that way, it's definitely suspicious. I would have thought that this kind of juicy scandal would draw reporters like carrying birds to a corpse. So, there's no news coverage. They covered Mr. Ryota's killing spree and the rest, but nothing on the closure of the academy. It's as if the national news network is simply ignoring the fact it all happened at school. Wait, what? But the job of the news is to inform the people. One would hope, but in this case, there's not a peep from them. Sober silence falls over the room. No news. For closing the academy? Come to think of it, the Inn used to cover the murders extensively, but I haven't seen much from them recently. Or maybe that's just because I don't watch the news as much. Well, we should get going. You need to rest up. She reaches out a hand as if to pat me on the shoulder, but suddenly withdraws it, looking away. Bye. She quickly runs out of the room. Elizabeth snorts, but her features eventually soften into, dare I say it, admiration. Rescuing Rui was an admirable feat, Yama Ishimoto. Utterly batty, perhaps, but admirable. With these parting words, she turns on the heel and strides away. Irie is the only one left. Her gaze fixes on me, almost like she's examining an alien specimen. Is she looking at me? What is it? Nothing. Goodbye. And soon enough, my room is completely empty. That was unusual. That's fairly normal, being that she basically just said that she's aware that she's in a visual novel. I settled back into my blankets, turning over Elizabeth's news in my mind. No coverage, no buzz. Sure, the last thing we'd want is for a bunch of clamoring reporters to tear up the hospital, but it concerns me that such a big crime is essentially going uncovered. But why? It simply doesn't make sense. No sense at all. I wake up on my own this time. I fully expect the room to be vacant, to be accompanied only by the ticking of the clock, to be utterly silent. But instead, I'm greeted with the sight of a girl seated in the chair beside my bed. Wait, not girl, woman. Shigure? She doesn't even look up from... Is that a book she's reading? No files? Long files, apparently. Ah, Ishimoto, you're awake. Or sleep talking? Highly improbable. I smirk at that. Even Shigure seems to be smiling. So, what brings you to my humble abode? Shouldn't you be working? Ryota has already been apprehended. I see no further need for my presence in this precinct. But, really? Shigure's eyebrow gives me the barest twitch of irritation. Or, is there more to the story? Like, maybe, I don't know, they officially consider the case closed, so you're no longer granted access to the investigation? Bullseye. That's kind of strange. Aren't you the reason why they managed to get Ryota in the first place? I expect her to explode in a fit of intricate insults, but instead, she hunches over as if a large weight is bearing down on her shoulders. There are unusual movements in Isamu, Ishimoto. Something is stirring beneath the surface, something bigger than any of us could ever imagine. And I'm the chosen one, born to master the 5 elements and take down the ultimate evil in this world? Absolutely not. Then maybe the shining sword of the chosen one? Oh please, at best you are a blunt arrow. Sharper than the average rock, but only just. Ouch. Can you give me back to Shigure from 3 months ago? I liked her better. I'm afraid she will never make another appearance. But when she snaps the file shut, her smirk softens into a genuine smile. It's good you did not die, Ishimoto. Although I am uncertain of its relevance, I told myself that as soon as you were coherent, I might relate my story to you. What's that supposed to mean? You may have noticed my certain unusual reaction to your phone call. I knew that you wouldn't have believed me, never even needed me as your assistant in the first place. I would have believed you? But you didn't even try. I would have believed you. I would. If you just trusted me, if you just... Now that you mention it, I never seen Shigure that emotional. Not even when you ran into Natsuki. For time's sake, as well as the sake of your interest, I shall keep my tale short. Despite her confident start, she gives a marked pause before she continues. I get the feeling that she hasn't talked about her story very often. Somehow the idea makes me feel special. I was difficult to get along with in my youth. Only in your youth? I was thinking the same thing, Yama. I think automatically, but keep my mouth shut. Most decided to keep their distance from me as a method of coping. I kept 2 books. Hence her occasional burst of ridiculous vocabulary, I guess. For the most part, the majority of my peers were inane and superficial. Losing their acquaintanceship was no loss. However, one day, a boy approached me. The very traits that others hated so much about me, he found fascinating. He became my truest friend over time. I have few memories apart from him. We even decided to engage in matrimony as we studied in university. After, of course, we found stable jobs. I finished my schooling within 2.5 years, at which point I began my detective agency. Wait, 2.5 years? That sounds crazy. She must have taken max units enrolled in classes over intern. Study without breaks. I dearly loved my field of study and greatly looked forward to my field of work. Aside from the late nights, it was of no difficulty. Somehow I find that hard to believe. At any rate, one of my first cases was worked in conjunction with the police. There was a particularly vicious triple murder closely related to family of my betrothed. He put forward a suspect. I believed his mind to be clouded by emotion and disregarded it. So, he left and found another detective. I winced at the idea. That must have really hurt her pride. Shigure notices my reaction and raises an eyebrow. It was a sore betrayal, Ishimoto. My pride was not the only aspect that was in pain. It may have been akin to Rui losing trust in you, even though you thought that she, of all people, would continue to support you. Just the thought sends me reeling. I quickly decide to not consider it again. The suspect that my betrothed put forward was eventually, as I suspected, found to be innocent. Except, no sooner after receiving his verdict, the allegedly innocent man tracked my betrothed's residence and... She pauses. The edges of her expression crumble, but she holds strong. There was another murder that day, one I could not handle. Oh. All I wished for was to take back my actions. I wished that he had believed in me, and that I had believed in him. When I had run around by myself, when I had planned on facing Ryota by my own initiative. No wonder she was so panicked. A repeat in history. A sickening time loop. Shikuri doesn't deserve that. Thank you for telling me. She only shrugs wordlessly. It may help me resolve when it comes to Rui. Learn from your mistake, Ishimoto. This is my gravest instruction. What do you mean? What does it have to do with Rui? Leave no regrets. This is all I mean. No regrets? Is she telling me to start dating Rui, just like everyone else? The thought seems odd, kind of trivial. Maybe the past 3 months contribute to that. Shigure notes my uneasy expression and stands to her feet somewhat abruptly. Regardless, there are other matters I must see to, but you have earned a well-deserved rest, as well as this. She extends a flat white envelope to me, stamped with pay stub. Wait, what's this? Your pay. I dare say it's deserved. But you never said you'd pay me. I mentioned it multiple times actually. You simply did not listen. She pushes the envelope into my hand. The fingers numbly accept it. Wow. Thanks. It's unexpectedly generous of her. Farewell, Ishimoto. Rest up. She whisked out of the room, leaving me with the envelope. Well, I never thought that she'd actually pay me. She didn't seem like the type. Hesitantly, I tear the envelope open and unfold a sheet of paper inside. It's an official-looking invoice with 3 printed lines, accompanied by a scribbled note. Income 100,000. Theme parks 110,000. Debt 10,000. However, as my magnanimity knows no bounds, I shall benignantly waive your debt. S.E. I totally should have seen this coming. Very well, Ishiyama. Let us depart. Really? And you're paying for everyone? Oh yes, with your future wages. I should have known something was up the moment Shigure started complimenting me. Nevertheless, I'm chuckling to myself even as I slip the pay stub back into the envelope. That's definitely more like Shigure. Still grinning, I settle back for some more sleep. I note with satisfaction that the heaviness in my limbs is much less substantial than before. I wake to a soft knock at the door. Huh, someone actually knocked. Who'd have thought? Come in. Okay, we will stop here for this episode. Kinda thought it would be the last episode, but this one's getting a little long, so we'll stop here. Alright, if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. I am tatocat. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.